What's up guys? So this is officially my 100th upload, and to celebrate that I thought I'd make a video on something that I really love, and honestly with everything going on right now there's really not much else to talk about. So for my 100th video I'll be going in depth and personal on my favorite MCU character to this day. The impeccable, the spectacular, the legendary Star-Lord. Who is right, Korath? I'm not gonna front and act like I even knew who Star-Lord was before Guardians of the Galaxy in 2014, before I had ever picked up a Guardians of the Galaxy comic book or even a Star-Lord one, before I even knew who any of the Guardians were for that matter, but I do remember the day I first met them. It was an early Saturday morning, the summer right before my senior year of high school. Me, my big brother, and my mom went down to the local movie theater, still unsure of what we were gonna watch that day. I remember it being between Hercules with The Rock or Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and oh, how I'm so glad we did not see Hercules. I remember during the summer seeing the previews for Guardians, loving the music obviously, and it looked pretty damn interesting, right? I like space, I like Marvel, let's get it done. But even though I was still a fan of Marvel and the MCU those days, I was nowhere as near as big a fan that I am right now, and we didn't really know what Guardians of the Galaxy was back then. I think a lot of people didn't, so we took a chance, and as soon as the movie started, I was in. Seeing this young little innocent kid, seeing him with that little black eye telling his mom how he was fighting with the other little boys because they were picking on some poor defenseless frog, that's just the sweetest thing ever. And then having to see that little innocent young kid watch his mother die, and obviously he's not going to be able to handle that, he's just a little kid, and he runs off and then he gets abducted by aliens. And a lot of traumatic stuff has happened in the MCU or in Marvel movies in general, but that's one of the most traumatic things that could ever happen in a Marvel movie. So automatically I cared for this character. Then we pick up 26 years later on a desolate wasteland of a planet called Morag. We see this masked man with bright red illuminated eyes navigating this place like some kind of cyberpunk space pirate, which I just personally love that aesthetic. The metal mask and the long coat, it just looks super cyberpunk and I'm very into that, so automatically I love this look. And then we follow that up with the now iconic dance through the ruins scene to Hooked on a Feeling, and that moment really set the tone for the rest of the movie, so I knew even if I didn't like the movie at the end, I was gonna have a fun time. And I did. Guardians of the Galaxy is my favorite MCU movie and maybe even one of my favorite movies to this day. I love Guardians Volume 2 as well, but Guardians 1 just has a special place in my heart. Still my favorite franchise. I cannot wait for Volume 3, but I can't in good conscience say that it's the best MCU movie when a movie like The Winter Soldier exists, so it's only number 2 to that in my book. From the irresistible soundtrack, which and I'm sure a lot of other people immediately went out after watching the movie to go and buy the awesome mix, to the amazing set designs, the amazing costume designs, the striking visuals, the enthralling story, and a reverent, odd, very flawed, and quite frankly lovable cast of characters. What's not to like about this movie? A story of a bunch of messed up, broken people coming together despite their differences and motivations to save the galaxy from some blue a-hole who's threatening to destroy it. Pretty damn awesome. And out of that cast of characters and all the characters that we had in the MCU at that time and the ones that we've gained over the years, Peter Quill, Star-Lord, the legendary outlaw himself, is still by far my favorite character. Now at this point in the video, and probably since the beginning, you've probably been saying to yourself, wow, this guy's favorite character in the MCU is Star-Lord? We got characters like Thor, Steve Rogers, Iron Man, even Spider-Man now, and this guy likes Star-Lord? That's who he rocks with? The guy who messed up everything on Titan and Infinity War, and then Thanos snapped everybody, the guy with absolutely no powers, and the guy who calls himself Star-Lord like a fucking douchebag? Yeah, that guy. Now it would be bad on me if this was just a straight up love appreciation video and if I had neglected to address some of the personal issues that people have against Star-Lord and some of the ones that I've heard that I just don't really understand, to be honest. You mean the guy who basically gave us Endgame, the guy who came up with the plan to restrain Thanos on Titan, not Iron Man, not anybody else, the guy who did exactly what he was supposed to do that made the whole finale in Endgame possible, or else Doctor Strange would have interfered? Or, you know, you can always say maybe not. Maybe we get to Multiverse of Madness and it's revealed that this future that has transpired isn't exactly the future that Doctor Strange saw when he was checking all those futures. So who really knows about that? But even then, let's say that Star-Lord never freaked out and they actually managed to get the gauntlet off. What then? What happens then? They don't even know how to use the gauntlet at that point, what they're gonna spend the rest of their lives hiding it from Thanos, and what he's gonna rain hell on Earth. You would have had to have killed Thanos then, and I don't even know if they could have done that, honestly. Thanos would have kept on coming. Or let's just say Doctor Strange used the time stone to pause Thanos and they killed him there. What if the reason that Doctor Strange didn't do that is because he saw a being who would fill that power vacuum left by Thanos, who was an even greater threat to the Avengers at that time, one that they were even more ill-prepared to handle. So I felt a lot of the criticisms that Star-Lord was getting were very much undeserved, and I really didn't ever get how people expected any less from Star-Lord. I mean, does nobody remember? This is the same guy who grabbed an Infinity Stone with his bare hands, not knowing that he was part Celestial, knowing full well that groups of 6 people have tried to share this power and have all died, but he grabbed it. Or when he busted out of that trance real quick and did not hesitate at all to empty a full space clip into the dude that he's been waiting to meet his whole entire life, his father, after he revealed that he was the one who put the tumor in Meredith Quill's head that eventually led to her death that he had to witness as a kid by himself, basically. Star-Lord may not show it, but the people that he cares about weigh heavily on his heart. If you really think about it, technically, he gave up his relationship with his father, celestial powers, immortality to save his loved ones. And obviously, right, who's gonna want Ego to spread all of his blue shit all over the universe and take over everything? That's another thing that you can say as well. These people mean so much to him, and especially at that point, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, he had only known Gamora and Drax, Rocket, Groot for less than a year. Guardians Volume 2 took place the same year as Volume 1, so he hadn't even known them a long time. That's why he even entertained for the very brief moment he did, flirting with the High Priestess, but he quickly ended that shit because Gamora was there and she's his ride or die, and that whole unspoken thing, I love it. And even in Volume 1, he hadn't known Gamora for a long time, but he cared about her so much and liked her so much, he basically almost sacrificed himself and risked his position and his life to save her from dying in space, cold and alone, which was an awesome as hell scene. And I know that it was a very hard scene to shoot, but James Gunn, thank you for that scene because it was beautiful and awesome. So when he finds out the love of his life, the woman he escaped prison with, held an Infinity Stone with, and traveled all around the galaxy defeating crazy mofos, has died, he's obviously gonna feel some type of way about that. And that's why I absolutely love Star-Lord. He's real and raw. He feels like an actual tangible character. He doesn't hide his emotions, and he's not concerned with being the perfect Boy Scout or even the strongest or smartest in the room. He's extremely flawed. He's petty and he gets jealous, and he's not afraid to hurt people's feelings or to be rude. He feels so real, like a real life person. Like when the Guardians first meet Thor in Infinity War and Gamora's kind of like swooning over him. Pretty much all the Guardians are at that point. They're kind of ragging on Peter Quill, calling him fat and everything. And when Thor wakes up and he like touches Gamora's shoulder to kind of console her, Star-Lord in that moment is so visibly jealous. He's kind of just hating on Thor for the rest of that time and the rest of the interactions they have from there to Endgame, which is just super funny too. Like he is so damn petty when he actually meets the Avengers on Titan for the first time, and then they ask if he knows Thor and he's like, yeah, tall guy, not that good looking, needed saving. That kind of stuff is just so funny to see. And in that scene as well, it's a great example of his cunningness and braveness. I mean, he goes in head first thinking that Thanos is in there or Thanos' lackeys, and he goes and confronts the Avengers anyway. And he uses his cunningness, even though he might not be the smartest in that room because of Iron Man, Doctor Strange, or Peter Parker, but he uses his cunningness and his slyness to restrain Iron Man for a time in that altercation and restrain Spider-Man, two people that are probably way smarter than him and way stronger physically at least. That's just awesome. And he ends it with a standstill basically. And another good moment to show off his braveness is when he confronts Thanos on nowhere after knowing that he has the gauntlet with 3 Infinity Stones in them. After he just saw Thanos turn Drax into cubes and Mantis into ribbons, he still comes out brave and bold as hell, throwing major shade at that nutsack chin, which somebody had to acknowledge that at some point in the movie, and Star-Lord is the perfect person to do that. And Star-Lord realistically, and this is a lot to do with Chris Pratt and how charming and charismatic he is, he's a highlight in almost every single movie that he's in. Even in the Guardians movies with all the awesome characters that are in those movies, like a whole cast, he still stands out. It's still his movie. He is the highlight of those movies. And when he's featured in these other movies like Infinity War or even in Endgame, more so in Infinity War, you look forward to his moments because he has both deep moments but also the funniest moments in any Marvel movie. Like you wait to see what Star-Lord is gonna say next or who's gonna tell him off, stuff like that. And that's another reason why I love him as a character. I'm always entertained by him every single time he's on the screen, no matter what. And as for for the infamous name he goes by. Although at first glance, it definitely does seem douchey. What, you're the Lord of the Stars, the God of the galaxy? If you recall, in Volume 1, when Peter, at the end of the movie, is finally ready to open the last gift his mother ever gave him before she died, when he's reading that letter, she calls him her little Star-Lord. So, the douchebag name, the name that he goes by, is like the little nickname that his mother gave him. And, you know, I would say maybe I'm a little bit of a mama's boy, and Star-Lord is definitely a huge mama's boy, and that's just the sweetest shit ever. That's sweet as hell, okay? How does that not, as a human being, hit your heart? Like, that's just so sweet, and I loved it. He's going by a name that his mother gave him, which is awesome. And I love that, and I love the relationship with his mother, and that relationship really made for my personal favorite sequence or scene in any Marvel movie, and maybe in any movie ever, which was the scene when he grabs a Power Stone and Gamora is trying to share the power of the Power Stone, and he sees his mother, and he replays that whole scenario back when he was a little kid 26 years ago, right before his mother died. 26 years prior, young Peter Quill could not bear to hold his mother's hand as she went quietly into the night. That was the end of his world at that time. And now, 26 years later, he summons the courage to take that hand and save his new world, which is beautiful. It's just so awesome. And it makes me love this character even more. And the movies as well. They're my favorite. You see, Peter Quill is not a superhero or a supervillain. Truthfully, Star-Lord is a morally ambiguous, regular dude put in extraordinary circumstances. He's an asshole, but he's not 100% a dick, which I think personally is a good message for people. Realistically, it's not possible for anybody to be a saint all the time to everyone you meet. People are gonna meet you back with different kinds of energies. People have their own problems, their own things they're going through, their own things that they're dealing with. So you can't expect that same saint-like energy from everyone, and you can't expect to give it. You're gonna be an asshole to people. That's just the reality, but you have to remember to not be 100% a dick. And I think that would make the world a better place. But that's just my opinion, guys, and this is personally a very special video for me, and Star-Lord is a very special character. This right here is my Star-Lord mask. No, it is not a Marvel Legends, and it's not exactly super movie accurate, but it's awesome. My big brother gave this to me for my graduation from high school, so I will keep this forever because it means a lot, because my big bro gave it to me. Just wanted to show that off real quick. My love for Star-Lord is immense. I got the pops, I got everything pretty much Star-Lord. He means a lot to me. Chris Pratt playing him was just super charismatic, and it sucks thinking about it, but Guardians of the Galaxy 3, in a perfect world where people weren't canceling people and also everything was all right health-wise in the world right now, Guardians 3 would have came out this month. I probably would have already seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. But having said that, I am glad that James Gunn is working on Suicide Squad, because I think the DCU right now needs some help with that. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is still coming, and I can't wait for that, and I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. That's pretty much it about the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is my 100th video. Everybody from my subscribers to people that are just watching this video that like Star-Lord too, or people that hate Star-Lord's guts and are here to just talk shit, thank you for at least watching this video, or liking, disliking, whatever, commenting. I would like to know what you guys think of the video, my opinions. If you have your own opinions on Star-Lord or anything I said, please let me know. That's pretty much it for the video, guys. I appreciate you guys a lot. This is my 100th upload, hoping for 100 more, hopefully, and then some. If you like the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.